All right, guys, we are headed in to train our push workout today. So some of you guys might be asking why we're doing a push-pull legs, and I want to give you a little bit more insight into Mike's split specifically. Mike's back is awesome. His clavicle width, just his back detail density is really, really good. So as we were setting up his off season, I wanted to make sure to keep that as strength, but I wanted to overly emphasize his legs and his chest. Shoulders are good, arms need to come up. So that's kind of our focal point, is chest, arms, legs. All right, so within his push-pull leg routine, he's hitting push twice a week, he's hitting legs twice a week, and then he's hitting his pull routine once a week. All right, so within a push-pull legs, like, it doesn't have to be standardized across the board. What I want you guys to see from this, and hopefully you can gain further from Camp Jansen and being involved in the site, is that this stuff still needs to be tailored to yourself. So in the example of Mike, we're tailoring his frequency to his push and his legs twice as much as we are to his back. And again, like, even within that, you know, as we're going through the workout today, we might adjust things further, and then we'll show you guys that, but it doesn't always need to be set in stone. So going back to why push-pull legs, basically my thought process is, and I like to kind of translate and channel things into athletics as much as I can, because I think it applies. So the more a quarterback throws a football, the better he's going to be. The more LeBron James goes in every day and shoots jump shots, the better he's going to be at those jump shots. So the same thing applies within training. You know, the more that we're able to, within being recovered, do movement patterns over and over and over, the better we're going to become at them, the more that we're going to be able to further stimulate the muscle, because we're going to be more connected in those movement patterns, and then we're going to be able to ultimately become stronger. If you're hitting something every 4 to 5 days versus every 7 to 8 days, that frequency really starts to add up over a year. Now, in a month's time, no, it doesn't make that big of a difference. If you add 12 months time and how many more times we're able to hit muscle groups and how many more times we're able to train our motor units into movement patterns, it really starts to add up. So that's the reason why we're doing this. You know, I'm not against a typical traditional split. I just think within bodybuilding, we need to keep searching for ways to get more out of what we're doing. And with him, we need to gain size, you know, so I'm trying to get size on him in the most applicable way possible to get the best result. So that's where we're at right now. Again, we're basically 6 weeks into an off-season phase. The goal for him is to step on stage next May, so in 2021 at the New York Pro. And everything that we do from this point forward is gonna lead up to that. So that's where we're at. We're gonna kind of game plan the workout. I want to also share that with you guys as we get in there and start to get warmed up, because whenever I have somebody come in town, I want to make sure that my exercise selection and their exercise selection matches up. So we got to be on the same page. All right, so we're gonna kind of go walk you guys through that process, and we're gonna get after it.
Give me the pop thighs with the brain fried and the mouth wide with the big flies, got the rope tied. Let me flatline, let me have mine, let me try.
All right, so kind of walk you guys through this workout. Mike was actually talking to me about yesterday. He's had an injury, a nerve injury that he's going to talk about in a second. But within that, and his chest being a weak point, we kind of have to really think through his chest workouts to make sure they're effective. Sometimes just certain movements that most of us feel very well, he doesn't feel. But within that, he also made a point to me yesterday that he really wanted to start getting stronger on barbell work again, like he used to be 2015, 2016. So we're going to start working on that today. For those of you guys that are following my training on my log, I've been alternating doing an incline press and a flat press. So we're gonna start today with a flat press. I know there's a lot of taboo-ness about flat barbell press, but I think just like with anything else within bodybuilding, if you really prioritize your execution, it can be a safe movement. So I want Mike to just introduce his injury, things to keep in mind as we're going through this workout, and just how he's again overcoming something else within his own bodybuilding to make himself the best that he can be.
So in I think it was 2010, I was doing team trials for the Empire State Wrestling Tournament, and I ended up pinching a nerve in my neck between my C6 and C7. And initially I didn't think it was that bad until one day I actually tried to flex and it was completely mush. So what ended up happening was I actually completely lost muscle atrophy in my right pec, my right tricep. I still have numbness down my forearm. So at first I didn't think I was gonna be able to train at all, but as I started training, I really had to change everything. I couldn't do any dumbbell work. I had to do a lot of machine work, Smith machine, because I just had no stabilization on that right side. and it's still not 100%. So you'll see, like in my training, I don't do a lot of dumbbell pressing and things like that, just because I still don't have that stabilization. It's come up a lot, but basically I just have to work with things that work best for me due to that injury. So that's what we're working on right now.
If this isn't working for him today, then we're gonna scrap it, but we wanna try to start here. He does wanna get stronger on his barbell movements. So we're gonna emphasize these, go through them, and then as we go through them, I'm gonna walk you guys through my progressions and how I'm working through cycling my rep ranges to continue to make progress as well. Right?
Touch the ball, it's over, call it close, but we all know what this is gonna be. You came and failed the test, you met the best, expected chess, but got monopoly. I came and bought you out, I knocked you out, I crouched you out with no apologies. I am the hope, the heart, the faith, the spark, the one who will fulfill the prophecy. I just been counting, never lounging, climbing up mountains, bouncing.
Several times a week I get asked questions about what I do specifically for my joints within heavy lifting. So I just want to kind of reiterate to you guys, like, and you guys might not see all of it within our videos, but I am so big on warming up a lot. And for me, I don't do like a warm up on a mat. I work the movement patterns that we're gonna do a lot until I feel like I'm ready, you know? So even today, like, I'm not trying to get anything out of this fly variation other than just injury prevention. So I'm gonna do it until I feel like I have a really good connection. And then as far as my joints, the only time I ever have any joint issues is when I feel like I make too big of jumps too fast within my progressions of my warm-up. So I warm up slow. You know, even though I'm strong, like I still kind of take the same warm-up approach that I took when I wasn't nearly as strong. So I make about 15 to 25 pound jumps at a time per side, especially for like chest movements. And I find that really works well for me to keep, you know, my shoulders healthy, my elbows healthy. And then even the same thing for hack squats. Like before I hit a top set of hack squats, I might've done 10 sets previously. It's just that my rep ranges aren't that high. So I'm not trying to overly fatigue myself until I get to that top weight, but I'm making sure that I'm pushing the joint through the proper range of motion over and over and over, and then slowly increasing the weight as we go, all right?
Don't make a move till you huddle up. I'm coming up, fuck is up. Looking for trouble, then knuckle up. I see through all of your cover-ups. You think that you gonna set me up? Good luck, break it down. Who at the top, I'ma bring him down. I will not stop till you laying down, till I'm at the top and I'm gazing down. Shit ain't been the same since we came around, since we became kings and became renowned, since all of the truth started raining down. If you want that belt with a buckle.
All right, so this was actually Nick Nuke on Instagram. He's a guy that I just started following. He doesn't have a big following at all, but I respect him a lot. He trains extremely hard. And he made a post this week about the difference between wrapping your thumb around a barbell and wrapping, you know, a false grip, which is underneath the barbell. And the way that he presented it, I never really thought about before, but basically it comes down to leverages. And when you wrap your thumb around the barbell, you're keeping your whole wrist in a fixed position, which is gonna then activate the muscles of your wrist, theoretically, to then move more weight, and then to be able to have your wrist in a more fixed position, the barbell is going to be in a more fixed position. Versus a false grip, it puts your wrist in this position, which then underactivates the muscles of the forearm. So I messaged him and I was like, hey man, like I appreciate you showing it to me in this way, because I've never really thought about that before. But when you're trying to really progress in weights, every little aspect of this counts, you know? So that's why on my top set, I'm gonna use a belt to keep myself more grounded and keep more stability through my core. And then the same thing, like if I can retrain my mind to get my thumb wrapped around, I think over time, maybe not today, I actually might lose some poundages today, but over time, it's gonna allow me to push the weight up further. And then also just from a safety factor, you know, it prevents you from the bar slipping out of your palm and dropping on yourself. So just keep those things in mind, but it really makes sense from a connection standpoint to wrap the thumb and then be able to really flex all those muscles from basically the ground where the barbell's grounded to your hand all the way through your chest. Good. Whenever you guys introduce a new movement pattern, I think the first day is like a day that you just got to kind of feel your way through the set. And then that's going to be the standard that you set then moving forward. So let's say if Mike hits 365 today for 7, okay? So then that's going to be his basis of which he builds his progress around. So then he's going to know next time he comes to the gym what his goal is for his top end set, what his goal is for his back end set based off of that basis that he sets today. Right now, he really doesn't have a goal. For myself, I reintroduced flat bench, I believe at the end of November. So I've been working with 405 since November. The first time I hit it for 3 reps, then I hit it for 5 reps, then I hit it for 6 reps. So again, within my movement patterns, I'm basically doing this movement every other week. And then I had a few odd weeks in there where I had somebody else in town, so I didn't flat bench, but that's where I'm at. So today, I've changed the variable of my grip. Hopefully that doesn't slow me up. I'd love to get 405 for 7 today, so that's kind of where my goal is at in my head. If I don't get it, that's okay. But that's, when you come in here and you're doing progressive overload, you've got to have these numbers in your head. You've got to know what you have to hit, and you've got to do your best to hit it, okay? That's the whole name of the game. If you're not sticking to those numbers, if you're not sticking to those progressions, then you're wasting your time in here, all right? So stick to that. 405 for 7 is the goal today. We'll see where Mike's at. He might blow through the 365, but I want to err on the side of caution, especially with his chest, to make sure that we have an effective workout today and we don't just kind of set the pace in the wrong direction from movement number 1, all right? Pick it, just pull it out to like here.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh! Oh! Come on! Oh! Oh! Ah!
All the way through. Come on. Good. Come on. Finish. Finish. That's it. Good. Very good job. Good job. All right, so obviously you guys saw I didn't hit the mark. It does feel a little, I don't want to make excuses, it does feel a little bit different, but what I'm hoping happens is that through transitioning my grip to a proper grip, it's going to carry over to progress long term. So maybe not today, but we'll see. This will be a new starting set point for me and we'll go from there. All right, so we're going to do a back off set now. The importance of back off sets for me, it really just re-emphasizes just perfect form. So as you continue to increase load, that back off set is like an opportunity just to really maximize the form and the stimulus on the muscle within that load. So in theory, what we want to see happening here is our top sets turning into back off sets, and that doesn't just magically happen, but it happens through a period of, again, overloading the muscle and then backing off. And as we back off, I'll kind of want to keep the progression of the top end sets in sync with the back off sets. So my back off sets aren't always the same. As my top end sets are progressing, the back off sets should be progressing within a percentage of that. So typically on movements like this, once I get above 3 plates, I usually back the weight off about either 35 to 45 pounds, and that's where I'll hit my back off set. So again, it is percentage based, but a simple way to do that. So I'm gonna go from 405 here to 315, see where I'm at there. Last time I actually did 335, but that was with a false grip. I kind of want to, again, reset this movement pattern, go with an overhand grip, reset myself, and then go from there, all right?
1, 2, 3.
Good. Come on. Come on. Stay tight, stay tight. Yeah. Good, again. Again, stay tight. Excellent job. One of the things that I think is really important within this system is that you're getting strong within a variety of movement patterns. So basically with this machine, I know from previous experience training with Mike, he really likes this machine. Basically we already replicated this hand positioning here, which is a pronated hand positioning. So now we're doing a neutral hand positioning. And what I'm doing within my split is 1 week I'm doing a close grip bench, which basically simulates the same movement pattern. And the next week I'm doing the neutral grip press here. All right, so those are 2 variations that I'm doing. So this is incorporating both chest and triceps. So you're gonna overload your triceps a lot as well, which obviously we're training today. All right, so same kind of system is in place here. We're gonna hit a top end set and try to really overload that top end set and be progressive there. And then the back off set will be coming back in weight, trying to double the reps from the top end set, and then going from there, all right? Oh yeah. All right, you guys might be wondering how I go about making my jumps, how I decide on my weights when I'm warming up. And honestly, I like to kind of hit, especially if we're considering 45s, I like to hit a 45, the middle ground, 45, the middle ground being a 25. And the reason why is it's not because I couldn't make this jump fast and get to my top end set fast, but there's a nervous system acclimation that needs to happen, because if your nervous system isn't ready for that load, then your muscle's not going to be able to produce as much work there. Okay, so I'm trying to get my nervous system acclimated to this weight, so that way when I get to my top end set, my nervous system is ready for it. If you jump and you make too big of jumps too fast, your nervous system's going to be playing catch up the whole time. You're never going to be able to get the full benefit out of that top end set. All right, so that's why I make slower progressive jumps, to allow my nervous system to acclimate to that load.
I plan on 3 1/4 being my top set, but after feeling those first 3, I'm gonna go to 4.
Yeah, I got it. Got me speaking all I'm missing is the power. Damn right I own it. Damn right I'm gonna. I think you better bow down. Yeah, I need all this. No, I want all this. Till I want all this.
Good.
I think you better bow down.
Come on. Hard. All right, guys, so here, this is a back off set, but I'm gonna turn this into a rest pause set, okay? So this is a DC method. Basically what I'm doing here is I'm gonna do an attempt at 4 plates. I'm gonna keep 4 plates on. I'm gonna take 15 deep breaths in and out. It's crucial that you breathe deep, because you're trying to replenish as much oxygen into the muscle as possible. And then I'm gonna take my next attempt, okay? So I'm gonna do this 3 times. And this is just a way, again, to extend the set and yet continue to maximize that top weight, versus another thought process is to do a drop set. But as you drop set, you're also decreasing the load on the muscle throughout that drop set, okay? So then it's more just a time under tension thing, more so than a load plus a time under tension thing, all right? So just that's a reason why I'm choosing this method. I just feel like it maximum impact on the muscle for the longest amount of time versus the drop set, because then you're reducing the load as well. I got it. Go. Come on. All the way, all the way, all the way. All the way. Hold it, hold it. Chest up. Flow. Good. Get your breath in. You gotta attack it hard, hard. Good, Mike. Hard, hard. Good. Again, all the way, all the way. Don't give up. All the way. Chest up. Good. Control it, control it. Good. Come on, come on. Good. Hold it, hold it. Track your chest. Hard, hard, hard. Just to go into a little bit more detail about basically what I just talked about as far as the overload. So I believe that in order to grow the most muscle, the more you're placing the tension on that muscle with load, the more over time you're going to develop. Okay, so in this instance, using a rest pause set is keeping the load maximized the whole entire time. I don't believe in just overly fatiguing the muscle just to overly fatigue it. I think that there has to be a load component to that. Okay, so if we're going to strip this from say 3 plates a side to 1 place a side and do it 100 times, is that going to fatigue the muscle? Yes, but then we've completely lost the load component to that. All right, and again, if you look across the spectrum of bodybuilders, the strongest guys, the biggest guys typically are the strongest guys. All right, there's a reason for that. They're spending the most amount of time in the gym around the biggest loads, and that's why they have the physiques that they have. Okay, I'm not saying that a drop set doesn't work. I'm not saying that a drop set hasn't worked for so-and-so, but what I'm saying is I think a lot of the people that are watching this movie or watching this training video, they're looking to maximize their growth. Okay, we're the guys that go into the gym and don't just grow by whatever we do. We have to really think about it. We have to really be methodical. And that's why I think that maximizing load is going to allow that muscle to grow to its best ability versus just kind of coming in here and winging it. Another example really quick that I have, okay? You have somebody that squats, every time they come in here, they squat 405. Eventually in 6 months, they're squatting 405 for 20 reps, all right? You have another person that comes in here, every time they come in here, they go and they do a wall squat for 5 minutes. After 6 months, who do you think is gonna have the bigger legs? The person that wall squats for 5 minutes every time they come in, or the person that builds their squat up to a 405 squat for 20 reps, okay? So just because in the instance that wall squat might have burned more, the burn isn't equating to tissue being built, all right? So you got to really maximize, you got to stimulate the muscle, overload the muscle to get a response out of that muscle, all right?
Inside, or do you go out further out? Grip?
I think I'm right there. The way I prioritize this is I do 2 chest movements first. That's something that Mike and I both need to work on. But also within that, we're still hitting, we're for sure hitting our shoulders on our first 2 movements. So this really, in theory, is our 3rd shoulder exercise that we're now going into, but it's our first exercise where we're prioritizing it, okay? So whenever you're training chest, you're going to also stimulate delts, basically front delts, also stimulate triceps. So within this programming of this push day, I'm prioritizing what needs to be moved the most with the most amount of strength, which is our chest first, and then we kind of work in order from there going downstream, all right?
Ouch. 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 It feels good, nothing.
I got it. Come on.
Ouch.
Good. Come on. Hard.
Ouch.
Again.
Ouch.
Go. Come on. Go. Go. Go.
Come on.
Go.
Up. All you.
Ah.
Ouch. 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 Ouch.
Come on.
Ouch. Come on.
Hard, 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 hard. Hold it, hold it, hold it.
Got it.
Slow. Something you guys have to be mindful of when you're doing a push routine as well, especially if you're coming from a traditional split where you were to come in one day and just train chest and the other day you're gonna just train shoulders. You are going to experience some initial setback in your loading, especially with your shoulders, because as I just mentioned, we're basically 3 shoulder movements in, even though this is the first one that's prioritizing shoulders. So we're entering our first pressing movement for shoulders in a pre-fatigue state, okay? So the loads that you might have lifted on just a shoulder day, don't let that mentally mess you up, because the goal here is progression within this system and then the frequency within the system. So overall, you might have been lifting more initially, but it wasn't in a fatigue state and you weren't lifting as often, okay? So just keep those 2 things in mind. So don't get frustrated and be like, oh, well, screw this, like I'm way weaker. Initially you are gonna be weaker, but then your strength is gonna build up even more, all right? Track the tricep hard all the way through. Okay, so this is our 4th compound press. It's our first press that's specifically specializing the triceps, but as I just mentioned again, like this is actually the 4th movement in a row that our triceps are getting hit. So within this push-pull legs for me, I'm trying to basically pick the biggest bang for your buck type movements and then just get as strong as you possibly can at them. So with this movement, with a close grip bench floor press, it's gonna eliminate the stretch reflex that you would have on a bench press, okay? So rather than coming all the way down, getting the stretch in your chest and then the drive out of your chest, it basically eliminates your chest. And then also because we're bringing our grip in, it really just places a greater amount of load on the triceps. So what we're trying to do is keep tension on the triceps all the way down, pause on the floor, completely kill the momentum, and then drive up through our triceps on this movement.
Oh yeah, I got it, check, I got respect, and all I'm missing is the power. Oh yeah, I got it, check, I got respect, and all I'm missing is the power. Damn right I own it, damn right I'm gonna. Now I think you better bow down. Yeah, I need all this, no I want all this, till I run all this. Now I think you better bow down. We going beast mode, competition I don't see no. Y'all beginning, show me I'm a winner. Y'all gon' mess around and have to see though. Get on my feet, bro. Something stirring underneath though. On the side, yep, something rise up. I'ma have to go unleash those feelings I got running deep in me. Don't look in the mirror, it's not trippy. Tell me I'm gonna be the greatest, man. How you gonna ever compete with me? Man, I heard a bunch of money, just a bunch of hours. A bunch of hours, just a bunch of power. I know it. And I think you better bow down.
Hard on the bottom, hard on the bottom.
Oh yeah, I got it. I got respect, and all I'm missing is the power.
Again, this is a new movement pattern for him, so we overshot it. It's part of it. It's just you just got to make those notes and not overshoot it the next time. Because do we really want to work in the 3 rep range? No, not really right now. But it's not like a detriment either, because we got to set the stage of basically where his loading needs to be. So probably it would have been a better option here to go to 275 rather than 315 and then do his back off at 225. So the next time he does this movement pattern in the next 2 weeks, he just needs to kind of make those adjustments and then go from there. But that also wasn't a wasted set, all right? That was a very good set. Technique was very sound. He didn't rush it. So there's something to be learned there as well. And then from here, he just needs to adjust his numbers, okay?
When they see the style, they say, what's the cost like? Need a fast car, then hit the gas hard, do me, I be soon fast, y'all. I think you better bow down. Oh yeah, I gotta check, I got respect, and all I'm missing is the power.
Come on.
Oh yeah, I gotta check, I got respect, and all I'm missing is the power. Damn right, I'm gonna. I think you better bow down. Yeah, I need all this, no, I want all this, till I run all this. I think you better bow down. Give me the pop thighs with the brain fried and the mouth fried with the big flash, get the rope tied, let me flatline, let me have mine, let me choke, smoke. All around, folks all around, pills, deals, will. My doing, I'm not even moving, I'm not even thinking, my eyes moving, but I'm looking around, I don't see nobody, all I see is darkness in the party, over here, over there, everywhere that I go, gotta act like a kid. Just wanna get out, I just wanna get out, can somebody let me out, I could end it all now, but what if they never find me? 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 I can end it all now, but what if they never find me? What if they never find me? What if they never find me? God grant me patience. I don't hear no voices. This lifestyle's dangerous. I don't have no choices. Lost 10 pounds last 10 days. Now I'm down to 110. What was that? They going out? Are they coming in? Do they have friends? Can they all come back to the hotel room after the show? Damn. If my daddy was here, he'd say, son, you better be a man. Shut up. I got this. I don't need you in my life. Let me see that life. I don't need this life. For the shows, I've been on the road. I'm reaching on my
All right, we are moving into out of the compound movements, just moving into more single joint movements now. So with this specific cable fly, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel by using this Bosu ball, but what it does is just really encourages proper chest position to keep your chest elevated, because as you're going through a fly motion, you don't want to have your chest caving in. So this allows you to arch and open up. And then also too, this brings us further back from the bench, so that way we can get more of a stretch, because without this, you bottom out the cables before you get that much of a stretch. So that's all we're doing here. If you have a better or a different cable variation, you might not need to use a Bosu ball, but that's the reasons why we're using it. So with this movement, we've really taxed ourselves to this point. Okay, so here again, it's a single joint movement, so it's not as demanding. So we're just trying to put as much fatigue on the muscle as we can. We're gonna shoot to failure between 10 and 15 reps, do one all out set, and then we're gonna move on. Just two more things really quick. With these single joint movements, our main priority is not just load. We just spent 75% of the workout doing that. So now it's just like within, especially Mike, okay? So you just saw, we just kind of fixed his arch a little bit. I brought his hand positioning down to kind of make sure that he was getting a full contraction on his chest. So I don't want him chasing weight here. I just want him to take a weight where he can really feel that he's effectively training his chest for that set as much as he possibly can, all right? If he adds too much weight and then he's having to compensate for lack of form, then it defeats the whole purpose, all right? Like I said, we spent most of this workout just banging compound movements, heavy weights with proper form. Now it's time to just really hone in on the muscle. Again, load does matter, but it's just not the primary focus within these movement patterns, especially with single joint stuff, because the heavier you go, it's gonna come to a point where you're compensating to move the weight, all right? So you wanna make sure you're maintaining proper form.
Don't touch the ball, it's over, call it close, but we all know what this is gonna be. You came to fail the test, you met the best, expected chest, but got monopoly. I came and bought you out, I knocked you out, I crouched you out with no apologies. I am the host, the heart, the fakest spark, the one who will fulfill the prophecy. I just been counting, never lounging, climbing up mountains, bouncing back. Step in the ring, about you step back. Damn, hot when I get on the track. I like it louder than most. Watching all these shit just right down to the go. If I can't decide, I'ma probably get both. We can celebrate, but right now I'm a toast. Resurrect the ghost. Outside, looking at the stars, staring in my mouth.
Yeah, come on, chest up, chest up.
Stop me this time. With every single level that I reach and I climb, they ask, are you from outside? Everything around me I create with my mind. Working too hard, I don't want no downtime. With my team on, they gon' shine when I shine. We can take this outside, outside. Looking at the stars, staring with my mouth wide. I ain't letting nobody stop me this time. Every single level that I reach and I climb. They ask, are you from outside, outside? Everything around me I create with my mind. Looking too hard, I don't go downtime. Put my team on, they gon' shine, I shine. Yeah, we can take this, buckle up. Boy, if you bad it, then double up. Remember your team when you hustle up. Don't make a move till you huddle up. Coming up, fuck is up. Looking for trouble, then knuckle up. I see through all of your cover-ups. You think that you gonna set me up? Good luck, break it down. Who at the top, I'ma bring them down. I will not stop till you laying down. Till I'm at the top and I'm gazing down. Shit ain't been the same since we came around. Since we became kings and became renowned. Since all of the truth started raining down. If you want that belt, better buckle down. Outside, outside, looking at the stars, staring with my mouth wide. I ain't letting nobody stop me this time. Every single level that I reach and I climb. They ask, are you from outside, outside? Everything around me I create with my mind. Working too hard, I don't want no downtime. Put my team on, they gon' shine when I shine. You are just not on my level. I keep my foot on the pedal. I set the tone, I don't settle. I can put fear in the devil. You are just not on my level. I keep my foot on the pedal. I set the tone, I don't settle. We can take this outside, outside. Looking at the stars, staring with my mouth wide. I ain't letting nobody stop me this time. Every single level that I reach and I climb. They ask, are you from outside, outside? Everything around me I create with my mind. Looking too hard, I don't want no downtime. Put my team on, they gon' shine, I shine. Yeah, we can take this. You are just not on my level. You are just not on my level. You are just not on my level.
Like that?
You are just not on my level.
All right, so here the main thing that we're trying to do again is keep it as strict as possible. So no leg drive, no calf raise, arms out to the side, trying to keep our arms as straight as possible, and then going in a lateral motion, not in a forward motion. All right, so again, nothing overly complicated here. Just within this movement pattern, just trying to be as strict as possible, make it as hard as possible, make sure our medial deltoid is doing the work. We're again gonna go into a rest pause set here, just like we did on our second movement. So I'm gonna do 3 attempts, deep breaths between each attempt, and then we're gonna move on to our last movement of the day. Gotta get 5. Come on. One more. Stay tight, hard. Drive hard. Got it. Come on. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hard, baby, hard. Come on. All right, guys, so that is a wrap on today's push workout. Honestly, if I could give you guys anything to kind of take home from this workout, bigger than the workout itself, is from a greater majority of us, Mike is a pro. He was second in his first pro show, but we're still spending a majority of our workout chasing strength, trying to improve within movement patterns. And that kind of transcends across a broader spectrum of what bodybuilding should be. You know, basically, if we turn our workout into numbers, we spent our first movements, we did two working sets per movement, so that's 8 working sets there. And then we went into the single joint movements and we backed off the volume even further. Okay, so a greater majority of our workout was spent around compound movements, around heavy weights, around maximizing sets to failure. And that's for somebody that's basically a top 212 pro going into the open class. All right, so if he's still focusing and he's still basing his workout around those basically sole concrete premises of bodybuilding, then anybody who's not to his level, that really needs to be the focus. So again, my hope for you guys and my hope for Camp Jansen is you guys to see basically throughout my training, my log, Mike's log, all the other guys that are involved in the site, it's just like consistent trends between all of us. Even though we're all individuals, we all respond differently, we're all on different diets, but there's specific things that we all need to still be doing and maximizing to make the best out of bodybuilding. So we'll be back more with some more video footage soon. For those of you guys that aren't a part of Camp Jansen, this is what the videos on Camp Jansen are about. And this is what the site is about as a whole. I just want to give you guys an outlet of something trusted that you can go to kind of expand your knowledge on bodybuilding and make sure that you're making the progress that you want to make within the sport.